And I think we are live. Let's just make sure here. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Okay, we already have people jumping into the chat.
Yay!
We did something a little different this morning and went back to doing a reminder post, which I think helped out here because everybody could be waiting for us. It makes it a little easier. I know my mommy brain needs as many reminders as possible. I don't know about you, Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely need a lot of reminders. So I'm assuming that everyone's needing them as well. So hi everyone, welcome back to our breast sleeping Q&A. It is our favorite time of the month to be able to spend time with all of you, and also I get to spend time with Rebecca, Michi here, and so I just love this Q&A that we get to do together. We're going to let everybody jump in here for a moment, and then we'll get started. We have a lot of questions today,
Yes.
Rebecca. A lot of questions, and really good questions too.
Yes.
Everybody's these babies are eating a lot and not a lot of sleep. So it seems to be the trend.
In an odd sort of way, that's what we like.
It's the truth, right? So that's what we want. Although it's like, okay, is that normal? Just like everything we always say, is it normal? And what's not normal? What is normal? Biggest question of the day, right? Mm-hmm. So for those of you guys, first of all, welcome back, Rebecca. Thanks for joining me once again here with everybody.
You're very welcome. Thank you again for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was just looking, and it's been a year that we've been doing these breast sleeping Q&As. I just saw that the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like our 1 year anniversary.
Yay.
It's been a while already. But Rebecca's not feeling so good today. Poor Rebecca. I feel so bad for you. So I'm sending you some virtual chicken soup, Rebecca, to hope
I really need that.
Feel a little bit better. We're having a snowstorm here in New Jersey. The girls just got home from school. They had an early dismissal, and I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this winter. Like, it just came on like that. So yeah.
It's crazy. It's kind of like it's overcast. I'm in Seattle, so it's overcast and gray, and it'll be that way until around June. But it's like in the 50s today. It's kind of nice.
Oh, please. It's freezing here. And I just got home from a beautiful trip. I was in Florida with my family. And so it's kind of a shock to the system right now.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's a shock to the system.
Yeah, you look amazing. You look great. You've got a little bit of color. You look great.
We had a wonderful time. We had some really nice weather. We sat on the beach, and I thought, okay, say goodbye to the sun for a few months now, back to New Jersey cold winter. So it feels good to have a little bit of sun on your skin, right?
Oh, definitely. You look great. And then there's me just looking really pale with a very red nose.
I'm sorry. I know what it's like to feel sick like that. Speaking of that, now I'm grabbing for a tissue. It's contagious all the way from Seattle, Rebecca.
Sorry.
So for those of you guys who are joining us for the first time, real quickly, I'm Shari Criso. I'm a registered nurse, a certified nurse midwife, and an international board certified lactation consultant. And I've been working with moms and babies for longer than I want to say. It's many, many, many years, probably longer than many of you have been alive. So we'll just leave it at that. But yes, this is actually my favorite thing to be able to do, is to reach out to all of you, because we're reaching people all over the world and giving that information that is so critical to just being able to take care of your babies and feel confident. And I think that's the most important thing. And if we can alleviate some of those worries and help you build your confidence even just a little bit today, then we've done our job, right? Mm-hmm. So Rebecca, let them know who you are, and
great.
And we can get started.
Yes, I'm Rebecca Michi. I am a Seattle-based children's sleep consultant and author. I work with families who have children normally under 6 years old. So there's a real broad range of ages and issues that I work with. I'm a gentle, no-cry sleep consultant, not advising families to leave their children to cry it out. Have a background in child development, so I've been working with families for nearly as long as Shari. So between us, we have nearly 50 years worth of experience, which sounds amazing, but makes me feel awfully old.
We're not going to talk about it. It's just like, it's good. It's all good. It's all good, right?
We both have teenagers, so that's how old we are.
Exactly. And we're looking, and if anybody knows a really good Q&A for like raising teens, just post it here in the comments. I'm looking for something to watch later to help me. I need some baby experts, or I need some teen experts to start following.
Oh, yes, please. It's all, there's no non-stop learning as a parent, isn't it? Whether it's with newborns to toddlers to grade school and then teenagers.
Oh yeah. All right, so everybody's jumped in here. I have somebody waiting. I have actually Brandy waiting here in the chat. I can see her, so she's waiting to ask her question live, which I absolutely love. Don't go anywhere, Brandy. I'm going to be calling on you in a minute. But for everybody else, I want to make sure, if you've never been with us before, that you know that all of the links for today's show, everything that we talk about, including our prizes and our partners, which I'm going to talk about in a second, everything is available to you. All you need to do is type the word baby right here in the chat. Okay, type the word baby. And once you type the word baby, you will get a message from me that you can open later or now, whatever you want. It'll give you links to everything that we'll be discussing, as well as a link to be able to join us live. Brandy just disappeared, so we'll see if she comes back. But if you want to join us live and ask your question live, it will bring you right here into our chat, and then we can pull you in and you can ask us your question directly, which we love. We absolutely love. In fact, we love so much, and we want to reward anybody who wants to jump on a camera with us today. There'll be prizes for everyone here in the chat, and then anyone who jumps in live will be entered to win an additional prize. So there's more chances to win, additional chances to win if you get pulled in. All right. So first, before we even get started with that, let's just thank our amazing partners, because I see them here in the chat, and they're Love to Dream and Evenflo Feeding, my two favorites, like literally our two favorite brands that just bring the most wonderful products for breastfeeding and sleeping, okay? And what could be a better match for what we're doing today than a breast sleeping Q&A, okay? So thank you, ladies. Love to Dream and Evenflo Feeding. I'm going to be showing a little bit about those amazing products in just a short while, but those will be our prizes today. And if any of you guys have used either one, if you have the Love to Dream swaddles and want to go ahead and comment here, I love to see your comments. Tell me how much you love them, what you love about them. And if you've never tried them, then comment here, tell me what you love, how that could help you. And if you don't know yet, you'll see in a moment as I show it to you. And if you have the Evenflo Feeding advanced pump, or any of the breast pumps or accessories from Evenflo Feeding, love to hear from you as well. As you know, I've been working with Evenflo for 7 years. I helped them to design their advanced double electric pump. And so I'll show you that too during the live stream, so that you can see some of the features and why I helped design it and why it's designed that way. There's a lot of thought that went into that breast pump to help moms who are pumping. Okay, so let's get going. Let's let Brandy come in, because we never know how long someone has until their baby needs them back, right? So let's bring Brandy in to ask her question. I'm bringing you in, sweetheart. Here you go. There you are. Hi, Brandy.
Hey.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm all right.
Good. How can we help you? What's your question?
I got an extra kid home with the snow day, so anyways,
we hear you.
My question is, like the last breast sleeping Q&A you guys had, it came across like colostrum was the best, which I know. I heard that it's not okay to pump while you're pregnant, which I am, and I wanted to know if it how to collect the colostrum or whatever is coming out before your baby is here, and can I freeze that, or is it okay to pump that out?
So let me start with a question. First of all, how many weeks pregnant are you?
I am 21 weeks Sunday, so I'm only halfway.
Gotcha.
I feel like it's going to start happening soon, because this is my third one. I can tell when it's going to start leaking anyways, when they are. I just don't know when until they do.
You mean you feel like your colostrum's going to start leaking soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my boobs are gonna
And
start
is
leaking.
there a reason why you're deciding you want to pump colostrum out before the baby comes?
Just because, well, my last one was 5 weeks early,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to have as much on hand as possible beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just want the couple days worth that they get in the hospital. I wanted more than that.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer it this way. First of all, pumping while you're pregnant is normally not an issue for most moms. Okay, and that's because and at 21 weeks, most of the receptors that would cause your here's the problem when you pump the breast. Okay, what you're doing is you're stimulating your brain to produce oxytocin. Okay, and oxytocin is the hormone that causes uterine contractions. And so it's that's where the concern comes in is when you're pumping while you're pregnant, could you cause uterine contractions? Now, normally at 21 weeks, the receptors on the uterus are not there or functioning yet to respond to oxytocin. So I doubt that you're going to stimulate contractions by doing that yet. It will start to happen later on in the pregnancy.
Right.
And so for most moms, it's not the question of are they okay to pump? Usually this comes up when moms are asking, is it okay for me to breastfeed while I'm pregnant? Okay, so I'm not usually answering this for pumping this early, but usually for breastfeeding. And it actually was one of the questions that came in today. So for those moms, and so I'll just answer that for them. For those moms who are deciding they want to continue breastfeeding during pregnancy, it's usually totally okay to do because, like I said, those receptors are not there, and you normally will not stimulate preterm labor. That being said, okay, in your case where you have had a history of preterm labor and delivery,
Probably not.
I'm not sure it's the right decision for you. Like, I really don't think it would be something as a midwife. Okay, like I'll take off my lactation consultant hat here for a moment, put on the midwifery hat, and tell you that as your midwife, I would not encourage you to pump while you're pregnant right now.
Right.
If you were breastfeeding another child, I would say go ahead, continue. It's still worth that child getting the breast milk. We'll watch for contractions. But if you're just going to go ahead and start pumping, I probably wouldn't do that with your history.
All right. And do you have any suggestions on how I can collect that? And
Well,
can I collect it?
if you want to collect it without actively stimulating, like if you're saying you're someone who leaks colostrum, then it's something that you could start to collect by using, there are devices that you can put inside your bra to collect breast milk. Okay, you could start using some of them. I would say that even some of the manual suction style pumps like the Haka, some of those pumps where you just put it on, but it's not actively like sucking on the breast, may be okay. But I would really check with your provider. I would check with your midwife or your doctor, ask them, if they feel like that's okay right now. And I wouldn't worry so much about did you have like a problem where you needed extra right away?
She was really low birth weight, and they kept us in the hospital way longer than I wanted to be there because she wouldn't gain weight.
Mm-hmm. So you just want to have that extra. So, what I would say is you could talk to your provider, and you could try, but if you start to feel like you're having contractions or it's causing any kind of stimulation, I don't think that it's worth causing preterm labor when you have a history of it. When there are other options available like donor milk, if the baby is born preterm and you need donor milk, that's what I would start looking into right now. Okay, calling the hospital, calling the NICU, finding out what happens if you're breastfeeding, if you're trying to get enough and your baby happens to need more, what is their policy and their procedure for getting and obtaining donor milk for you?
Okay.
Because I understand the dilemma. It's like you want to have that milk, but you also don't want to cause a preterm birth.
Right.
All right. So I would just be careful. Look at all your options and weigh the risk.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. Thanks for joining in.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Awesome.
Great question.
Great question. Great question. It actually answered one of our other questions about nursing during pregnancy, which has been a big, question that comes up. And I think the reason it comes up so frequently is, moms know, I think from being on social too, it's been great just to have more moms more aware of, longer extended breastfeeding, continued tandem nursing, knowing that they don't have to stop and that, the recommendations really are to continue breastfeeding, even if you get pregnant again. And for most moms, with Brandy's exception there because of her history of preterm labor, it's perfectly fine to continue breastfeeding all the way through your entire pregnancy and right through the labor and the birth. And it should be totally fine. Do we have any tandem nursing moms in the audience today? I'd love to see who's actually nursing 2 or nursing 3. Who are you nursing and how old are your children? We'd love to hear your stories here. Love to hear your stories. But yeah, and I think that the confusion comes in is because so often the obstetricians are not as well versed in breastfeeding or the norms of breastfeeding, whether that is about tandem nursing or pregnancy stimulation or medications. I mean, this is what you hear all the time is some really bad and misinformation about moms needing to stop for whatever reason, which is untrue. And, you always have to look at the risk of not giving your baby breast milk usually outweighs whatever small or really non-existent risk is there for doing whatever you're doing it. So I just want everybody to be really aware of that. That's where it comes back to what Rebecca and I were saying about norms. What's normal? What's fine? What are the misconceptions? What are the myths? You guys all know myths are like my favorite. Myth busting. It's like my favorite thing to do. I guess because there's so many of them.
Yeah. There is.
Right? So many. Anyway, so before we answer another question, can I just show everybody what the prizes are?
Yeah, great idea.
And let's get some hearts too. Let's get some hearts for Brandy and a big congrats for her pregnancy. And let's do that. Let's go back to our old habits of hearts every time. Okay, lots and lots of hearts every time someone asks a question or Rebecca and I answer a question, all right? We just want to see all the love, okay? It feels good. I don't know. You guys don't, maybe you guys are not doing the live streams yourself, but I can tell you that when you're sitting here talking and you see those hearts going, it definitely feels good, right? And it feels like somebody's like
definitely
on the other end. That makes a big difference for me. I don't know about you, Rebecca, but.
Oh, definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really does.
I did my first Instagram live yesterday. And that was
look
really
at
cool.
you.
I had fun. I had really fun on Babies R Us Canada. I did a takeover for them Instagram live, and I loved the hearts there. They were all different colors on Instagram. It's very cool. Very cool. The little things that make me happy. And then I was so tempted to put on like some cat ears and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you should have done.
Like, yeah, I should have. But you know what? When I do my own Instagram live, I'll do it.
Then, maybe not with this.
You and I'll do it. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's just show everybody what the Love to Dream swaddle blankets are, because swaddle suits, they really are swaddle suits. These are the Love to Dream. And what is the difference between the Love to Dream and the normal swaddle suits is that Love to Dream swaddles the baby with the hands up. Okay, it's a hands up, more natural position for baby. It still helps to suppress that Moro reflex, so they feel that snugness. They're not having that startle reflex happening, but their hands are up in a natural position that's close to the face and mouth, where they can self-soothe, they can stroke their cheek, they can put their hand to their mouth even. And if you look at a baby without a swaddle on and see where the hands naturally go, they naturally go in an upward position. And so many moms and dads will say, my baby hates to be swaddled. They don't like having their hands down. They break out of the swaddle. And that's because they're trying to go into that natural position. Swaddle up is the Love to Dream are the original. And they've been around for a long, long time, many, many years. The original inventors of the swaddle hands up system. And they come in all different sizes in the original, as well as, and I'm going to scroll through here, the 50-50, which is the transition swaddle. So as your baby's getting older, maybe 3 to 4 months, they're starting to show signs that they're rolling over. At that point, you want to remove one of the arms, let them have access to their hands, and then remove the other arm, and slowly transition them from swaddle in to swaddle out on that 50-50. And it turns more into a sleep sack for them. They also come in all different weights and warm and, for warmer weather, they're very lightweight. For winters and colder weathers like here right now, there's a quilted version, and it's awesome. Just really, really awesome. But any of you guys love the swaddle up, I want to hear from you right now. I see Love to Dream here in the chat. And we're going to be giving away a couple of these today. So to win the prize, I want you to make sure that you type the word baby. You'll get entered by doing that. And then also comment here and let me know what you love about Love to Dream. We've been working with them for 2 years now, over 2 years. And so you should anybody who's been watching should know a lot about this product. And hopefully you have 1 or 10 in your house. But tell me what you love. And they're so cute. Oh, there's the quilted. Those are the quilted ones. Super nice. They actually are nicer in person than even the pictures show. Like when you actually hold it in your hand and feel it, it actually is even nicer than what you see here in the images. That's not like that for every product out there. So
no, it's a very good quality product, very well made, and it just feels good, because you got to think your child is sleeping hopefully for a huge chunk of the day, and they should be swaddled for whenever they're napping or for night times if they're still being swaddled. And so that is more than half of each day and night that they're going to be swaddled. And so you want a nice, good quality, comfortable product, and this is certainly it. It's something that I have been recommending for years and years and years. I remember I met Hannah years ago, way before it launched in the US, and it wasn't even on sale in the US, and I would have clients who would have it shipped over from Australia, because I was like, you kind of need this, because that swaddling down with arms pinned down to the side is a very, very unnatural position. A lot of children do not like it, but do need to be swaddled. It also makes it much easier to transition out of, because that can be really hard, getting out of the swaddle. If your child has been used to sleeping one way, it's really hard for them to get out, especially with arms pinned down to the side. So I've been recommending this product for years and years and years.
Totally. No, we all just absolutely love it. Anybody who knows what they're talking about loves this product.
Yeah.
That's really, bottom line, and the reviews that we get back from the moms who try it, who've used it, it's always overwhelming. Like more than any other product that I talk about out there is the love that people feel for this, because it really works, and it's so unique and different. So that's the Love to Dream, and we'll be giving away a few. So thank you so much for being here, Love to Dream. We also have Evenflo Feeding, and I want to just show you, this is the advanced, reaching over. This is the advanced double electric Evenflo advanced pump. Okay, this is their double pump, and like I said, this is one of the pumps this is the pump that I helped to design. It has features that are the most important and that I love so much. And as time has gone on, I've started to look at what are the other pumps that are out there available for moms. And there are other features that I've just started to notice that we put a lot of thought into, that are beyond the closed system, beyond the most important ones, but ones that really are like so critical and important. Quickly, I'll just show you the most important features. Is the multiple flange sizes, soft silicone flanges that come with the pump, 3 different sizes that come with the pump, and then 3 additional sizes that you can purchase, so 6 in total, which is really great. And they're really easy to find at Target, Walmart. Like it's easy and accessible and not expensive. There's a closed system, a true closed system, all right, that doesn't allow any moisture to get inside this tubing. There's no leaking, there's nothing. Super easy to clean and keep clean. And then the independent speed and suction controls that are easy to use and allow you to get multiple letdowns of milk, which means you can really drain that breast more efficiently. Those are the 3 main functional features, but a few others that I really want to point out are that the pump has really solid bottle holders. And this is important to be able to, and I did, okay, to be able to put your bottles inside this pump, okay, you can see what I'm doing here, all right, to be able to put your bottles inside these holders and have them snug so that you are not spilling your milk, all right, they come out easily so you can put them in easily, but they're nice and tight, well designed to be able to hold your milk in place so that you're not spilling a drop of it. And, you know, until you don't, unless you have these bottle holders, sometimes you don't realize what an important feature it is. And I've seen that because I've seen people who've used a pump with bottle holders like this one and then tried a different pump that didn't have bottle holders and like, there's no bottle holders. Like, how crazy is that? And sometimes you don't know what you're missing. And so I'm pointing out that features because if you're out there trying to make decisions on what are the features I'm looking for, the bottle holders are an important one. All right. Plus, another important feature is that you can put batteries right into it. These are AA's. You can put it right into the pump. The pump functions well with the battery or the AC adapter. And that also you can see how nice and small it is. Okay.
That's a huge thing, I think, is how compact and portable it is, because chances are if you're pumping, you're taking that pump around with you. You don't want to be having like a 1980s cell phone where you have the battery in this huge bag and weighs a ton. That just makes life miserable if you're having to lug that around. That's what I love about it. It's so compact, it's so powerful, and it's just so portable.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's small, but it's powerful. It's small and mighty.
Yeah.
Small and mighty, you know, and functional. And so, yeah, absolutely. That smallness, again, it might not be something you're thinking of when you're trying to choose which breast pump do I need, but you'll be glad when you're not carrying around, you know, a bowling ball. You're
totally, yeah.
And especially if you wanted to use maybe your diaper bag or you want to use a smaller bag to carry, you want to have more stuff so it's not taking up all the space. It comes out of the bag, which is also a feature that some of them don't actually have. They don't come out of the bag. So it's got a really small footprint. And that's important. You know, like if you're back to work and you're trying to pump in a small space, maybe your desk, you know, and you want to just have more room, having that little footprint is really important. So I love Evenflo Feeding. You guys all know that, you know, I love the pump. And I saw Stephanie pointed out here that that they also mentioned, this is one of the features that I actually was involved in, and that is that the angle of the pump is such that you don't have to lean forward when you're pumping. Most pumps have, I think I have a picture of this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here, give me a second. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to do a solo shot. All right. So it's down in the bottom right-hand corner. You see what I'm talking about, Rebecca?
Yeah.
So the one on the left is another pump, and you can see that the angle of the flange is straight. What that means is when you put that up to your breast, you actually have to lean forward so that milk will flow down into the bottle instead of back flowing onto your breast.
I see. Yeah.
In the suction. Okay. The one on the right is the Evenflo with the more of an angled flange. These are called sit back or slouch free pumping flanges. Okay. They're angled in a way where it actually flows down with you being able to sit straight up. And that's really, really great on your back and neck. Oh, yeah. It hurts to lean forward. I mean, how many of you guys out there who are pumping know what I'm talking about? If you're using any other pump, that you need to lean forward in order for the milk to go down versus back. All right. You know what I mean? So this is really, really an important feature and why I love it so much. And I do have my 3-stage pumping video available. Maybe after we answer a few more questions, we can play that for everyone. It's always a good one to watch and a good reminder. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, it will help you to get more milk out with your breast pump. Yes. So, and Macy's saying here, she recommends She recommends me to all her new moms on Facebook, Love Classes, Lives, and Mythbusters. Thanks, Macy. So happy that you're here. We actually have we actually have a private Facebook group, the My Baby Experts community. If anybody's not a part of that community, make sure that you go join. What an awesome group. Everybody just really helping everybody else. And we have some really great stuff coming up. So I want you all to join. That's in the link today from the baby link that you've all done. And there's also something new that I'm starting, which is something called Mama Time Monday. Mama Time Monday. Intriguing, right? Okay, so what that's going to be is it's an email from me that I'm going to send you every Monday with just some, great tips. There's the link right there, okay? With some great tips, just fun things that I've come across, great quotes, anything that I'm looking at and saying, oh, I want to share this with you. I'm going to be sending that out to you every single week, and it'll just be really fun and a way for us to share some mama stuff together, some things from my life, things that I'm finding everywhere. So if you haven't signed up for that, go ahead and go to mamatimemonday.com and sign up. It's also in your links. You could do it later, okay? But I'm really excited to start something new and do that with all of you. So
yeah, that's a great way to start the week.
Absolutely. We need a little time to ourselves to sit down and, do some fun things that are just for us. Right. So hopefully we will do that together. All right. Let's do some questions, Rebecca.
Yes.
Questions, right? Questions.
Yes.
Questions. All right. So you want to ask me a question here?
I will ask you a question. Okay. So Destiny had a question. I've recently started back at work and it seems like my milk supply has decreased. I still pump around every 2 to 3 hours and try to eat several snacks meals throughout the day and drink plenty. Anything else I can do to help? So what's the best way to maintain a milk supply when back at work and pumping?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pumping can really have an impact, and which is why we were talking about the features on this pump and using your pump the right way, because pumping can really impact your supply. Your baby the problem is the pump doesn't cry.
Thank goodness.
Maybe that's one of the features we needed to put into the pump is that
No. No, definitely not.
I don't think that would help sales very much, do you?
No.
The very first pump that cries to
No, not helping anything.
The pump doesn't cry, and so unfortunately, because of that, sometimes you can get carried away. You can wait too long. You can not pump as frequently as you need to. You're not draining the breast the way you need to. So that frequent pumping or frequent expression of breast milk is what's going to is going to be the number one way to help you maintain your milk supply. I see people posting here avoiding stress. Yes, that's true. Stress can have a negative impact. But, I always go back to the idea that if stress, lack of sleep, if those things were actually the biggest impact on you not having a milk supply, the human race would die off.
Yeah.
Because what's more stressful than a new baby most times? What causes the least amount of sleep?
New baby.
New baby. And so when we think about, how does it come down to not getting enough rest or having too much stress? Not really. Yeah, those things you do need to get help, and you do need to do things to make it easier to get some sleep when the baby's sleeping, and find ways, which Rebecca will go over very shortly. But it's not the biggest impact on your milk supply. The biggest impact is not frequent feedings. And that means that when you're with the baby, not listening to the baby's cues, not nursing on demand, and when you're not with the baby and you're with your pump and back at work, not taking the time to express your milk frequently. Okay. Now, I know it's really hard because nature also didn't intend for us to be separated from our babies and using a machine and being at work trying to do this. So we have to improvise, right? Especially here in the US, unfortunately. That being said, you need to make sure that your pump is working for you, that you know how to get milk out quickly. These sessions don't have to be long, and they shouldn't be very long. If you know how to stimulate those letdowns, you should be able to get that milk out fairly quick and have more sessions where you can sit down and do it. I would say that if you had to choose between less frequent, longer pumping sessions and or more frequent, shorter pumping sessions, I would go with the latter. I would go with more frequent, shorter sessions. And so that's the best way to do it. Try to stick to every 2 to 3 hours while you're at work to just at least drain that breast as much as possible. Do you think this is a good time to show the video?
Yeah, probably
I
a
think
great
so
time.
too. I think so too. Do you guys want to see the 3-stage pumping method and how to get more milk out with your breast pump? I think we should show that because it really does relate to the question here, how to get milk. I could talk about cookies, I could talk about water and Gatorade and all these other things. But bottom line, it's going to come down to getting your milk out with your pump. And that's going to come down to knowing how to use your controls. It's going to come down to having the right pump. It's going to come down to the comfort of your pump, and does your flanges fit properly. That's really the bottom line. So let's go ahead and show that video, and then we'll come back and do more questions. Hold on one second. All right. Breastfeeding moms know that pumping takes time and lots of commitment. I have a secret to share that's going to help you get a lot more milk in a lot less time. The first thing you're going to need is a pump that lets you control your speed and suction independently, putting you in control. Start with the pump turned all the way up on speed and low down on suction. This will simulate what the baby does when the baby starts off at the breast to get a milk release or a letdown. Once the milk starts coming out, what you're going to do with your dials is turn your speed down while turning your suction up enough to feel it and not feel pain. Once you see the milk stop flowing, that's when you want to stimulate that second milk release or letdown. This is where it gets good. Turn your speed all the way back up again while leaving your suction exactly where it is. Continue to pump with the speed and the suction turned up until you see the milk releasing or the letdown start one more time. After you see that happen, turn your speed back down and again repeat. You can stimulate a second, a third, even a fourth release of milk. This is how you maximize the amount that you get out and how you empty the breast as much as possible. All right. Awesome. There we go. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's a simple video. It's a simple method, but, pumping is not as intuitive as you think. And what we're really doing is we're saying, okay, what does the baby do naturally at the breast? What would the baby do? Mm-hmm. I'm calling it my method, my 3-stage pumping method to make it easy for you to understand the 3 steps. But really what he did was look at what does a baby do when they're nursing? How do they stimulate those letdowns? What are they doing so that we can mimic with the pump as close as possible to what your baby does naturally? And if you watch your baby after watching this video, I think you'll get the idea like, oh yeah, this is what they do. They nurse quickly and gently at first. The milk starts to let down. They slow down their feedings. They suck deeper. You hear that nice swallowing happening. And then a little while later, you'll see them speed up, but they don't let go of the suction. The suction is still just as intense. It's just faster. And this goes through cycles. And what's actually happening behind the scenes in the baby's mouth is that the milk is letting down over and over again, and you're draining that breast. Why the baby's so efficient at doing it. Pumps can be efficient too when used properly and effectively. Awesome. Okay. Rebecca, I feel so bad. You look like you're not feeling good. I'll keep talking.
I'm still here.
They want to hear some sleeping questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to make you talk now.
No, that's fine. If I just start coughing and fall over,
okay,
just bear with me.
Okay. All right. I will take over, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's go over to a sleep question. There were actually two questions that came in, one from Barbie and one from Stephanie. And I swear to God, I had to read them both over twice just because they were almost identical, like almost word for word. It was so funny. Okay, so I'm just going to read Barbie's, which basically was Stephanie's as well. She said, my 14-month-old is still struggling with bedtime. We either have to rock him, nurse him, or just put him in his crib to cry until he falls asleep. He's also still waking up 1 to 3 times throughout the night. I'll let him cry to see if he will self-soothe, but usually end up picking him up and nursing him back to sleep. We do make sure he gets enough playtime and feed him before putting him to bed at the right time. So I'm lost on what I'm doing right or wrong, and really needing to fix the problem so I can start getting some sleep, you know. And again, it was the same question that came in from Stephanie. So, you know, Rebecca, what can a parent do about a 1-year-old or a toddler that's night waking? Is there a way that we can deal with this?
Yes, thank goodness there is. So it's actually normal for us as humans to wake through the night. We normally wake between 2 and 6 times a night. So the waking up part isn't really the issue. And I know we're all after our child sleeping through the night. Actually, that's kind of, we're not really, because that's nobody on the planet does that. Mm-hmm. So what we want our children to have the skills to wake, which is normal. They should naturally be doing this, but to get themselves back down to sleep without needing us to help. So if you're looking at it that way, that sort of is a little bit different than, okay, I just need to get my child to sleep and I just need them to sleep for the entire night. So if you see that your child is waking up as they normally do, now we need to look at what's happening at the very beginning part of the night. If your child is helped to sleep at the very beginning part of the night, then when they wake naturally during the night, between those 2 and 6 times on average, they're also going to need that help to get themselves back down to sleep because they don't have the skills to do so. So if we can teach your child the skills to get themselves to sleep from wide awake at the very beginning part of the night, they will be able to do that when they naturally wake then during the night. So that's where it comes then to some sleep training. And there are a bazillion different sleep training techniques. Mm-hmm. And when success with sleep training, studies have been done and show that actually one technique is not any better than any other technique. When people start sleep training, you want to start with a technique that you're comfortable with. So, and cry it out, maybe that you're actually really comfortable with that, because you know that your child is not going to get to that real big urgent cry. They're just going to fuss around for a little bit and then be able to fall asleep. That works great. Some children will cry for hours and hours and hours and hours. Not so great. And so you want a much more hands-on, gentle technique if you're going to be sleep training with a child who you think has that more intense temperament, you think is going to cry for a really long time. Mm-hmm. You would want to start at the beginning of the night, even though that may not be so much of an issue for you. If you're able to quickly kind of rock or feed or whatever, help your child down to sleep, that may not be so much of an issue, but they need to have those skills to do that from the very beginning part of the night. So working with your child and their temperaments to work on some gentle sleep training will give them those skills to be able to get themselves to sleep at the beginning of the night and then back to sleep through the night. Because though most children do not need a feed during the night, there are some that do. There are some children who are still feeding during the night as they get sort of a year old. Most do not. So I think that when I'm working with families, I think we can get children who are kind of over a year down to 0 feeds.
Mhm.
But if we're teaching them those skills to get themselves back to sleep, to get themselves to sleep, they can get themselves back to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always that thought of like, how can I make this go faster? What is it that I can do? It's really
Yeah.
individual, and I think that so much of this is about not just an age, like a time. Now they're 1, like they need to, it's really going to be about working. And that's what I love about your methods always, Rebecca, is that gentle and going slow and transitioning them slowly. And,
Mm-hmm.
sleep is a process.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah. And there are,
It's not an event. It's not an event.
It's sort of, we would love for our children to fall asleep, within seconds that we lay them down, within seconds they're asleep. It should take us between 10 and 20 minutes to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long it should take us. And so sort of, again, it's that all looking at what's normal. The waking up is normal. Taking time to fall asleep is normal.
Yeah.
Looking at all these things are normal. If you look at it as at a different angle from what actually is normal, then it looks very different than I must get you down to sleep. I must get you to sleep and you must sleep for the entire night. That's a lot of hours, and it becomes very overwhelming very quickly.
And sleeping is a skill,
It is.
that we need to help our children with. It's a skill like anything else, that developmental skill that they go through, and they go through stages. And it's something that you're going to help to, I guess, teach them and make it a pleasant experience for the rest of their lives. And I can imagine that negative relationships to sleep that can occur early on in our lives can carry with us through the rest of our lives. So it's important to make sure that we're feeling good while it's happening.
Yeah, we want our kids to feel the same way as we do when we get into bed. That feeling when you get into bed and you're just like, oh, we want our kids to feel the same about that.
I don't actually know that feeling because I'm asleep so fast. I think just as I fall asleep before my head hits the pillow. It feels like that.
Earlier.
It does feel like that. Oh man. All right. Awesome. Let's get some hearts for Rebecca and for let's see, for both Barbie and Stephanie with the identical questions. I'm a little bit curious about how they had the exact same questions. Anyway.
It shows that you're not alone. Whenever always when it comes to sleep, you always think that especially if you're waking up in the middle of the night, you think you're the only person awake on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that you're not, that there's somebody else who's also going through virtually the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always nice to know we're not alone. And you're usually not in any of these questions, which is why these Q&As work so well, because you're asking your question, but you're really asking it for, thousands of other moms who are going through the same thing. And that's what I love about the Facebook group, is that no matter what people are asking, there's other people who are like, I'm following this, because I have the same question. And so, it's really great to be part of a community like that, where everybody's kind of going through it, whether you're an experienced mom, first-time mom, pregnant, you've either something to ask or something to offer. And actually you always have something to offer. So no matter what. So that's awesome. There's actually a new feature here that you can do on, and it's polls, and I just can't figure out where to do it. Do you know where you can ask a poll? Because I have a poll I wanted to ask, but I can't figure it out. I think you have to do it directly on Facebook. I don't think you could do it through Be Live. So I think we'll have to wait for that one. I'll do that next time. All right. Just thinking out loud as I normally do. Joe says, that's like you just think you have these thoughts and they just come straight at you. That's okay though. That's okay. Everybody doesn't mind, right?
No.
All right. Right. You know what I'm thinking? You see, what you see is what you get. With me, it really is like that. What you see is what you get. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Good, right? It's good. All right. You want to ask me a question? Let's find one that came in for me.
Yeah. So, okay. I have a question here from Sarah. Recently, I've been seeing a post everywhere about how your child should never, ever breathe through their mouths. and that it could be a sign of a tongue tie and cause issues down the road. Is this true that they should never breathe through their mouth? My son is 4.5 months, and sometimes he does, like when he's playing or gets excited. And I never thought anything of it until I saw that post, and now I'm worried. He had his tongue tie clipped when he was 7 weeks, but I've wondered whether it's been completely resolved or not. His latch is shallow sometimes, mostly when he's wide awake and distracted. But other than that, we haven't had any obvious issues from it. So is mouth breathing a sign that something is wrong? And how can you tell if your child is showing signs of a tethered oral tissue?
Okay, let's get that question up here for everybody. Okay, so what Sarah's referring to is, first of all, tethered oral tissues, tongue ties. We've talked quite a bit about this, and we've done some really great special events about tongue ties, but that's where you have tethered tissue within the mouth, whether that's underneath the tongue or the tongue is tethered to the floor of the mouth. It can also be on the lip here from the gums to the lip. It can also be inside the cheeks, called buccal ties. And what they do is it restricts movement of the mouth and the lips. And this can have really negative impact on breastfeeding, but not just breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is just the first place that we see the problem. It's not the only issue with it. Okay, so it's usually where it shows up first. The baby's trying to latch, they can't hold the latch, they can't get milk out, or your mom's in severe pain because the latch is not right. So anything like that, you want to be suspecting oral tissues. Now, Sarah did have that revised, and what that means is that she had the tongue tie either laser released or clipped. Okay, and that is what she did, but she's saying that the baby is now mouth breathing, which is one of the signs that is a sign that there could be tongue ties or tethered tissues inside the mouth. And so what she's referring to is when people talk about babies shouldn't be mouth breathing, it's actually true. Infants especially are nose breathers, and unless they are congested, unable to breathe through the nose, they are going to breathe through the nose, and they shouldn't be breathing through the mouth. So if your infant is breathing through the mouth, you need to be looking into that, whether it's oral tissues or respiratory issues. It can be a problem. That being said, as they get older, yes, we do sometimes breathe through our mouths. And I think she said, right, didn't she say that when he gets excited or when he's playing, he's breathing through. We all do. Okay. So, when we're exercising, when we're breathing heavy, we all tend to breathe through the mouth. I wouldn't say that's as much of a concern as if your child is just constantly with their mouth. You'll see it. It's a postural thing where you'll see that the child, you've seen children who have their mouths open, tongues are kind of protruding a little bit, and they're breathing through their mouth on a regular, even when at rest. If your child is breathing through the mouth at rest, it's something that warrants an evaluation for sure. Okay, there are things that can cause this to happen, and it can also have, children who mouth breathe are more prone to developing facial imbalances, orthodontic problems, musculoskeletal problems, postural issues. There are things that can happen as far as sleep apnea and snoring and things later in life. And it is something that you can work with someone to do something about. So if it's a tongue tie, that can be revised, or it can be, you can work with therapists to help figure out what the problem is and why the child is breathing through the mouth. In her case, she says his latch is shallow sometimes, mostly when he's wide awake and distracted. But other than that, we've had no obvious issues from it. I'm not as concerned about Sarah because she's saying she's being overly cautious, which is good. She knows her child's had this issue. But I would say that as long as it's just happening when the child's playing, out of breath, a lot of movement, I would not say that's something to be too concerned about. Other signs, if your baby's having, if your baby may have a tongue tie, like I said, pain when breastfeeding, shallow latch, clicking sounds, difficulty staying latched, difficulty getting milk out, prolonged feedings that are taking forever. It's actually one of the other questions that came in, feedings that just take forever. Baby's just not able to transfer that milk. It's a sign. you may see it, you may not see it. Some tethered tissues are not visible to an untrained eye. And so these are signs you want to think of, including something as simple as gassiness in your baby. So how many people do you know talking about, my baby has reflux, my baby's on meds for reflux, my baby's constantly spitting up, projectile vomiting, nothing's working, they're colicky, they're crying all the time, they swallow so much air. That's a sign of tethered tissues. Okay. When the baby's not able to latch properly, they're actually swallowing a lot of air. It's called aerophagia. Okay. And so they swallow a lot of air. And so it's one of those warning signs to check out if the baby is swallowing a lot of air. That's one thing to think about.
And who would be able to diagnose a tongue tie?
The best person to take them to is a pediatric dentist, an oral surgeon, someone who you want to do a little research on this. Unfortunately, it's still kind of a new, I don't know why, but it's still sort of a new thing, a new part of medicine that not everyone is as versed in, and there's a lot of conflicting opinions and information. I would do a lot of research yourself about it, read from the experts. You can go and watch the episodes that I did with Dr. Scott Siegel and Lisa Palladino, and really learn from the people who are out on the front lines doing this day in and day out and doing the research, because you may even meet with a lactation consultant. I had a family member had a baby this week, and they said, the baby has a tongue tie, but the lactation consultant said it's just a little tight frenulum. It's not a tie. Okay. But the baby's she's having pain when she's latching. She's exclusively pumping. I mean, there's no such thing as a little tie when you're having issues breastfeeding. There's no such thing. And so again, it just comes back to training. It comes back to experience with it. And so I wish I had better answers for Stephanie's post. I was just going to say, Stephanie's going to post a link right here showing the support network link to find providers that are well versed in tethered oral tissues and preferred providers, people who really do this all the time. And that's what I would recommend.
So if you think that the child has lactation kind of blown it off, but you're still feel that your child has a tie, maybe going and getting a second opinion from somebody who specializes is a good thing. So trust that mummy instinct that you have. It's really,
definitely,
and it's put the human race going for a really, really long time. So yeah, trust that. So don't, even if you are blown off a little bit, you can always get a second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, typically it's the pediatricians that are saying there's nothing wrong. They kind of assume that if there's another option, like we'll just bottle feed instead, we've corrected the problem. That's not corrected the problem. Again, it's that breastfeeding is just the first place it shows up, but you've not corrected the problem. Babies with tethered tissues can have problems with eating, sucking on bottles. You'll see milk pouring out of the sides of their mouth when they're trying to even swallow with a bottle. They have problems with their speech. They can have severe issues that nobody diagnoses for years later. And so, not saying that's going to be your baby, but it is something to be aware of and taking seriously. Awesome. Yeah. And Amy's posting about the tongue-tied baby support group. There's really a lot of great support online. And I think you need to turn in that direction if you have questions. In some cases, so much of what we talk about, much of the time you may find yourself more knowledgeable and more up to date than even your pediatrician. They may not be doing as much reading as you. They may not be looking at the research. They may not be up to date. They're busy seeing patients in their offices and they're not online the way you are. And that doesn't mean you take all your advice online. It means you find the right resources to get good information from, and you take it from there. As Rebecca said, you follow your mommy instincts and you don't let go. If you feel like there's something not quite right, trust that. Keep going and keep going. So there you go. All right. Awesome. Do we have time for more questions, or are you too tired to keep going, Rebecca?
I can always answer more sleep questions.
All right, let's do another sleep question. I'm sorry. Wait, you need to go to bed. All right. Let's see. Let's do this one here. Okay. This question came in from Carrie, and she said, my daughter is 1 year old, and I've been receiving some pressure to decrease to one nap a day. She still seems to need a morning nap and usually sleeps for an hour. Her afternoon nap is usually 2 hours. Should I start getting her down to one nap or allow her to wean from the morning nap on her own? And nap questions are like, everybody wants to know about naps. I think it's that moment where you get your own time. So naps are important, not just to babies, but to mamas as well, right? So tell us what are normal amounts of naps and how long should they last? And how does that change over time as your child ages? Like how does that change what they need?
Great question. So children will drop down to one nap sometime between 12 and 18 months of age. The average is actually 15 months. But you want to wait until your child is showing the signs of being ready and wanting to transition to one nap. If they're napping twice during the day, chances are they're getting on an average of 3 hours worth of daytime sleep. When they reduce down to one nap, they generally need a little bit less. So they may still get one nap for 3 hours, but oftentimes they'll reduce down. Some signs that your child is ready to drop down to one nap are struggling to fall asleep at the very beginning part of the first nap. That's not so often a sign that we see. More commonly, we see for the second nap. So struggling to fall asleep at the beginning of the second nap and kind of delaying, procrastinating when it comes to falling asleep. Struggling to fall asleep at the beginning of the night is often as well a sign that your child is getting ready to drop down to one nap. But the most common sign that we will see that your child is ready to drop down to one nap is that they're beginning to wake earlier in the morning. And that's not something that you would necessarily associate with actually naps and daytime sleep. Is starting their day even earlier. But that is the most common sign. So if I'm looking at a child who's beginning to wake earlier in the morning and everything else has kind of been consistent and they're in that 12 to 18 months, then it may be time for us to start dropping down to one nap. And a lot of time people think that they drop the morning nap and they keep the afternoon nap there because the nap that we have, that one nap a day, is normally around the lunchtime. But the way that I like to do it, and is a much easier way to transition, is actually to continue to keep the morning nap. And we're actually pushing that nap towards the lunchtime. And then the afternoon nap just gets pushed into bedtime. So you are making your morning nap later and later and later. But you're making sure that your afternoon nap is then just continuing to be long enough to keep your child going until bedtime. So then you probably are going to be waking your child. You may be waking them after they've had a 20-minute nap, but it keeps their bedtime on track. And you kind of shift that way. So it's a much slower shift. It may take a couple of months to shift, but until you are seeing any signs that your child is ready with that struggling to fall asleep for either nap, struggling to fall asleep at the beginning of the night, or waking earlier in the morning, if there's nothing else going on, no family coming into town, you're not on vacation, you've not moved house, you've not started daycare, there's nothing else going on and you're seeing these signs, getting 3 consecutive days of these signs, then you may want to think about beginning to make that transition by just making that morning nap a little bit later. Otherwise, nothing to change. Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. I remember when my children just stopped napping. That was like, okay, can you watch me nap? How about if we just sit and watch mommy nap now?
No, I remember when my eldest stopped napping, because I'd managed to do it that I had my eldest and my youngest napping at the same time. And honestly, some days that was my favorite time of the day, was their nap time, when I would just get like, an hour and a half just to do the laundry and all that fun stuff that I was just dying to do. But when my eldest stopped napping, it was like a period of mourning. It was like I was grieving for that nap. It was a really sad time in my life.
The little things, the little times, those moments that we get, I have to tell you, it's just, we took that vacation with the girls this week. We took our two daughters, they're 14 and almost 17, just starting to drive. She has her driving permit. It was so nice to just spend time together with them. And Joe and I were sitting there and just thinking about vacations and times we've had when they were little and how it felt like it was going to last forever. And then here we are, and, they're so big, and just, hanging out with them, like, or even being in the airport and they're like, we're going to go get something to eat. And they're like, walk off. And I said, remember when we used to have to watch them constantly?
And you're planning everything minute by minute, wouldn't it?
And the gear and the amount of gear that we used to have to take with us. You guys all know what I'm talking about, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
The strollers and the bathtub, like everything that we used to drag along with us. So it does, enjoy it right now. Enjoy every moment. It doesn't last forever, whether it's napping or sleeping or feeding or pooping or any of those things. Eventually, they don't need you for it as much. They need you for other things, but they don't need you for this, right? And
not so much. Not needed to help with nowadays.
I think that's the best part about what we're doing here, Rebecca, is, if we can create a situation or help everyone here, we're not going to change it. We're not going to make your baby sleep more. We're not going to make breastfeeding easier or having a baby easier. But if we can help you to make all these things more joyful so that while you're going through it, you're really in the moment, you're able to experience it without the stress and the anxiety and the worry and the, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Is everything okay? You can, when some of that anxiety is gone, you can really enjoy it. And I think that's the goal, really, is just to try to enjoy that moment, because these moments don't last forever. And so I know that's what I'm hoping for all of you, is to just get a little more reassurance and a little more confidence so that you can go through this transition into new mommying with more joy. I mean, bottom line, with more joy. Right? We can't promise to take it all away, right? We can't promise to make your child sleep longer, nor do we want them to necessarily, but to have more joy while you're doing it. So fantastic Q&A as always. Really great questions. I think Rebecca froze. Are you still? Yeah, your screen's frozen.
Oh, no.
Sorry, you've got that kind of, I don't know, like resting, face right now. She's really not angry. She just froze. But I can still hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
It was perfect timing because we're getting to the end here. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Love to Dream. And, we lost Rebecca. Thank you, Love to Dream and Evenflo Feeding, as always, for being great partners and creating great products for new parents and babies. And if you did not enter, or you want to get the links from today's show, or you want to join my new Mama Time Monday messages, make sure you don't miss those. They're going to be great. Type the word baby here and make sure you click the links and the messages that you'll receive from me. Okay. We will see you all later. I'm going to go deal with the snowstorm that's going on here on the East Coast, and I will see you soon. Go join the private group. I'll see you in there. Okay. Bye, everyone. Mwah. Bye.